Hello, and welcome to another episode of the College Football Show. And remember, I'm Nick Roby.
And I'm Barrett Black.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. So, Barrett, if you had to describe like a word or just a feeling of how you were feeling after this weekend, how are you feeling about your team?
About my team or about college football
I guess
general?
just in general, yeah.
In general, about college football, I think that I would say it's just kind of that meh. It feels like we're in this like middle ground where there were no huge games this weekend. Actually, not really many close games outside of maybe one that shouldn't have been as close, and we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
But it kind of feels like a boring week is what this past weekend felt like. There was lots of blowouts, people crushing each other everywhere. Maybe this next week we have a few close games. We'll see. There's some ranked on ranked, but it kind of feels like, hey, I'm ready for the excitement to start. I'm ready for, especially in the SEC West, I'm ready for some of the big games to happen, you know. I'm ready for the Big Ten big games to happen. We got one of those coming up this weekend. So, yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. What about you?
Yeah, I would say the word that comes to mind is maybe early. Just that it's still... There's a lot of things that are still being worked out.
Yeah.
We very much want to like react to how all these teams are playing, or want to kind of dissect it and figure out, or just kind of anticipating these like big games. And just when you look at the schedule, like, okay, like they're having this, you know, small cupcake team, or this team is like now playing, they're opening their conference schedule, but they're playing weaker teams in the conference. It's not as exciting, which I know some of these bigger schools maybe don't want as many of these exciting games at first. Sure. So, yeah, I feel like it's early.
Yeah, I think another thought that I had just coming out of this weekend, I don't know what in particular made me think of it. Maybe it was Clemson's game or whatever the case may be, but it's hard to win a college football national championship when every game matters so much, and literally a converted 2-point conversion. I mean, Clemson's 2.5 yards away from potentially, you know, being out of the playoff. You know, I mean, every game matters so much. And I was just thinking, man, it is really hard to win a college football national championship.
Let alone win it back to back.
Yeah.
Like, it's very hard to do. And you see, like, why the teams haven't done that is because you're really getting everybody's best shot. And there's complacency that sets in. And there's a natural turnover of players that happens more even than in the NFL.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that. But yeah, I say it's still early, and especially there's a lot of reaction to how Clemson was playing. Therefore, it's like, well, then X team is better than Clemson.
Yeah,
they're,
for sure.
You know, where they should be, and that kind of thing. But anyway, we can get more into that. But what was a team that you were like impressed with, or like just what was something that impressed you in the weekend?
I think Ohio State is the most impressive team to me right now. They're making it look easy. They absolutely destroyed Nebraska, not just offensively. I mean, offensively, they've been doing great things against every team this year. Defensively, goodness gracious. Nebraska had barely over 231 yards and 3 interceptions. I mean, Ohio State's doing some things on defense, which is pretty surprising for me.
Yeah, that's good. I do think that they're a team to be reckoned with, for sure. And I think they're not just like there's not a drop-off without Urban Meyer there.
Yeah.
I will say that the thing with Ohio State is I wouldn't say that their schedule has been super tough.
No.
Going up to this point.
You're right.
But I would say they've been very impressive and are definitely the best team in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
I just think back to what we talked about last week with Ohio State and how they've had that struggle win, or not even struggle win. They've lost on the road like this the past 2 seasons.
It was a potential for just something like a slip up. So
this could be the potential, but man, they started off strong, hit Nebraska right in the mouth in their place, and there was no looking back. I mean, they probably could have put up 80 in that game, I felt like. So yeah, they started off very fast.
Yeah, I like that. A team that I was kind of impressed with, and it's a little off the radar, maybe not for a Clemson fan, but I was impressed with Duke.
Yes,
actually,
I totally agree.
Duke won 45-10 at Virginia Tech on a Friday night.
Yeah,
which playing on the road in conference is tough, but then playing on the road on a Friday night, which already has a weird feel to it. It was just impressive to win 45-10. In Blacksburg, which is tough
for sure,
with a new quarterback. still they're trying to figure out a lot of kinks in the offense. But I think there's an opportunity there in the Coastal for someone to establish themselves as the best team.
I agree.
And I think Virginia's still the top dog in there, but I was just impressed with just the kind of spunk they played with, and just that they're ready to go.
Yeah, and I mean Quentin Harris seems like a winner. From what I can tell,
he leads it very well.
He can play. He can move. He makes good decisions. I mean, he seems like he wants to win, or like he can win, and that's good to have at Duke.
Yeah, I think that the thing that Cliff has shown that if he can have some talent that matches up with the schemes, like they're dangerous, especially on offense. They're a very dangerous team.
Sure.
That was one for me. What else stood out to you from the weekend?
I would say that Notre Dame they handled their business. I was a little bit worried after that tough loss to Georgia last week that they might let Virginia. What was it at Virginia? They might end up dropping one to Virginia, with Virginia being the best team in the Coastal and having a pretty good quarterback and all. But it was close, and I think they were even down at one point. But I mean they came back and pretty handily won it there at the end. So.
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, especially Virginia had all the momentum. I was looking at the game, and they made this huge catch right before halftime to take the lead, and then for Notre Dame to come back and really establish the game too. I was really impressed with that. Let's see. Yeah, that one was pretty impressive. I think just seeing Utah kind of bounce back was a good one as well.
Agree.
It just felt like a lot of teams were really just kind of more establishing themselves. And also you have teams like the Oklahomas and others that really cemented where they are. But again, we're still waiting to kind of see them against bigger competition.
Yeah, I feel like Auburn did a great job of just really firmly establishing themselves against Mississippi State. They've struggled with Mississippi State the past couple of years. Yeah. And they beat, they were up 28-0 before I could blink. I mean, it was crazy. That game started fast. I mean, turnovers helped that. But Auburn can score fast. Gus Mills on offense can score fast. Not looking forward to playing them later in the year at Jordan-Hare.
Yeah, that's going to be an exciting game.
Yeah.
And I think that's when Auburn's dangerous, is when they can have that speed factor of just on offense that can really help. Yeah. Let's see. We can switch to surprises. Sticking in the SEC. Well, we can talk about this. I guess surprise. It was surprising and impressive at the same time was Texas A&M and Arkansas. Just seeing how well Arkansas played up with them. Or just seeing how much they bounced back. And then A&M, I still don't know what to do with A&M.
I wrote the same thing. Who is A&M?
Yeah.
What is their identity? You know, I mean, as good as they were supposed to be, as seasoned as Kellen Mond is supposed to be now. I mean, of course, they lost to Clemson, which everybody expected they probably should have. And then lost a relatively close one to Auburn last week. And this week you just expect them to kind of easily handle Arkansas, and it was not easy at all. They very easily could have lost the game there at the end. I mean, they're just not doing big things. So who are they? I'm so confused. I mean, they've got Bama 2 weeks from now. I mean, we both have a bye week this week. So we'll see against Bama. I mean, who are they?
Yeah, and the hard part with them is that when you look at the schedule, we're talking about if they win out the games they're supposed to win and lose who they're supposed to lose to, they're looking at an 8-4 year. Maybe 9 wins, which still feels successful, but it's crazy. Just also in the division that they're in, just all this success that's they're just anticipating all this stuff. There were 4 losses that were projected, so it's still possible for them to do well, but I feel like the floor is a lot lower for them than the high of what it could be. Yeah. And I think the hard part too is what do you do with a Texas A&M when you're trying to use them as a marker to compare teams? Yeah. Because it'll be for Auburn, it's a good win for them, But for Clemson, it's they weren't as strong as they have been, or just these are some of the things that we've heard. Yeah. Is that for one team they'll say okay, this is a strong, good win, and another team they'll be okay, this is actually not as tough a game as we thought.
And I think that as the season goes along and you learn more about them, it kind of establishes one way or the other. I mean, right after Clemson beat Texas A&M, it was Clemson has one of the best wins out
Right,
there. You know,
right.
LSU had like the top win against Texas, and then Georgia has the next. You know, then they had the top win against Notre Dame. Clemson's win against Texas A&M was at that time the top win, and now it's just kind of dwindling away, and we're starting to question, whoa, how good was that win actually?
Yeah.
You know, at Clemson. So, yeah,
It's just hard to know. It's a lot of figuring out. What else?
I think another one for me is you know, Alabama's defensive identity. I mean, granted, Ole Miss has an extremely fast dual threat quarterback. He cannot throw the ball very well, but man, he can run. But they really just they kind of gashed us hardcore up the middle several times on the ground. He was able to get to the outside a good bit, which running quarterbacks always give Alabama a bit of trouble. But it really worries me, like seeing how Ole Miss can do against us on the ground makes me worry about an Auburn team, which is like their identity is the ground game right now. They put up 300 yards on the ground against more than 300 yards against Mississippi State on the ground. So for me, I'm like, is Alabama, I know we have freshman middle linebackers, both are doing a great job, but are they going to be able to stand up to the task of these teams who are just ground and pound or jet sweep to the outside? It's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, no, that's a good thought, and especially there's things like that you want to see how they kind of play out over the course of a year. Because I also feel like too, there are certain teams for some reason just seem to have like other teams' numbers.
Yeah.
Or at least like that's the game. I know I'm sure for y'all, Ole Miss is just always a circle of like, I don't know how this is going to look.
Yeah.
For us, it's been Syracuse.
Yeah.
And then like this year they took care of it, but then we had North Carolina.
Yeah.
But you know, there just seems to be a team like you're better on paper, but for some reason, just the way schematically and just the way that the teams play each other, it just feels like it's just always closer than it should be.
Yeah.
And they will reveal some flaws that you're.
Yeah. And I think that obviously leads us to the Clemson conversation. I mean, we talk about surprises. I think everyone's biggest surprise of the week was that Clemson literally was seconds away from being upset on the road at North Carolina.
Yeah. There's a lot of thoughts with that too. It definitely came from feeling like, okay, we kind of just showed. It felt like we showed up a little bit, just ready to play to win, and you know, like not really ready to like hit in the mouth when North Carolina got the ball, scored that early touchdown deep, and then we come down and just miss like a regular field goal.
Yeah.
It just felt like this weird feeling that you couldn't shake for the whole
exactly.
half, and it just took a while. And there's a lot of things that this team's still working out. I think the hard part too is that you have the expectations of a lot of upperclassmen, seniors on the defensive line, win a national championship, but you still have like 80 freshmen and sophomores. So you have all these young guys who are used to the success, but are still getting used to the process and what this looks like and how to show up to these games too. Because it's hard when you're showing up to games and you're projected to be like a 27-point favorite.
Yep.
You feel like, oh, if I just show up, we'll win and we'll get playing time.
No, I totally know what you mean. And that's what makes me think about how hard it is to win a college football national championship. I mean, Clemson should have easily beaten North Carolina, but penalties were a huge deal.
Yeah, uncharacteristic.
Trevor Lawrence just couldn't get anything going. He had some pretty poor stats. I mean, they just did not play like themselves. And when you're watching those games, especially as a fan, you kind of have this like ominous feeling like, oh no, it's like the college football curse, you know, like something crazy is going to happen because on any given Saturday, a team can upset you, you know?
Oh, yeah, there's not like a guarantee at all. So there's one, I think they were big momentum because ETN fumbled on a big drive for us, and they came around and scored points. So if you take those out, so what happens is, say they still score, we kick the field goal, we stop them, and then score another touchdown, and then don't fumble. You're looking at like a 17-7 game, and like the feeling's just a whole lot different. But when you keep teams like that in, for that long, they're going to feel like they can play. And their defense played out of their mind.
Oh, they did.
I mean, like
it was... And the running back, they were able to run the ball pretty, like...
Yeah.
Against your front seven. I know they're all new. It's not the same guys as last year. But to be able to run the ball against Clemson like that is pretty impressive. anytime.
And I think it just shows too that really, I mean, football comes down as you can know, it comes down to the trenches and who wants it more. And I think they just wanted it more a little bit.
Yeah.
Now Clemson still played maybe a C-, even maybe a lower game.
Yeah.
Carolina plays an A game. The only thing they missed was getting the 2 extra points.
Yeah.
The extra 2-point conversion.
And I definitely would say I think Mac Brown is a heck of a coach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, to keep them motivated and in the game like they did, and he made the right call to go for 2. At the time, you're like, man, what is he doing? Is he crazy? But think about it, Clemson, I mean, really, they should kill you. If you go into overtime with them, you put them on the 25-yard line, and they've got Travis Etienne, who's probably going to be able to bust that 25-yarder pretty easily and get it in the end zone. You don't really stand a chance in overtime against Clemson. Go for 2 and try to win the game. I think he made the right decision, and unfortunately, that was terrible execution on the play.
I think it was the wrong play.
Yeah,
it was the right call, but maybe a different play.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely terrible execution. I don't know if it was supposed to be some sort of RPO, but to run an option, I don't know if it was meant to be an option, but that's what it ended up being. That quarterback didn't stand a chance,
Yeah, I would even thought of the speed option seems a little surprising because Clemson's strength of their defense right now is on the corners.
Outside.
It's the outside speed, Isaiah Simmons and those guys. I would even thought a read option would have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
If you don't want to have Sam Howell throw it, but he's having such a good game.
Yeah, exactly.
It almost seems like you'd be better just to let him throw it and let the play break down and hope for,
I mean, the play that had even gotten them to, there, the one where the tight end catches it. I mean, things were just happening. It was a terrible throw. The tight end catches it to get them on the 1-inch line.
It was crazy.
Things were happening to get them there. Just take your chances, ride the momentum, and see if it can get you an end zone. Anyways, enough about that game. I think Clemson will bounce back. Do you guys play this week, or you have an off week?
We have an off week.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of off week this week. Bama also has an off
and
week.
South Carolina too.
But I'm imagining Clemson comes back with a vengeance in the next game. Probably wins by 40 or so.
And it's Florida State, and
Clemson
doesn't like Florida State. But also, when you have to hear about this kind of stuff for 2 weeks, and the coaches are gonna run them pretty hard. You feel like So no, that's good. So, what do you think about? Well, let's go to this. Were there any other individual standouts that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think a few of them. You have to say I've already talked about North Carolina's defense and Ohio State's defense, but I mean. Tua Tagovailoa and Devante Smith from Alabama. I mean, what a day. Devante Smith, you got to love this guy. He's the quiet guy. He's not getting all the press like Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Judy's the top, wide receiver in this upcoming draft class. And you got Devante Smith, who's just done everything that you could ask for from wide receiver. I mean, wins the national championship, second 26. That was him that caught the ball from Tua to beat Georgia in the national championship. He's just a quiet guy, but a hard player, blocks all the time, really hard downfield. And he was just on fire. Literally everything that was being thrown up to him, he was snagging. And it was one of those days where you're like, this is pretty magical what's happening here. At the end, they were kind of laughing about it. It was just like they were having fun, playing pitch and catch, and he just happened to be catching everything and taking it for, 70 yards down the field.
It's like when you're playing 2K or something basketball, and the guy has the fire around him. He just throws up these crazy shots, makes them, and you're like, I don't it's coming. He's throwing the deep ball. And,
I want to know how Ole Miss secondary felt about that. I'm sure they were not again.
They're and they almost we know the play. He's just going to slant up the middle or run a deep post, and it's well, there we go. No, that combination was impressive. I would say Hurts is still impressive, and granted, I know that they have not played a whole lot of strong defenses, but. To see the kind of numbers he's putting up, transferring still from Alabama, and just he's just being how consistent that is.
He is, man.
I think the real key in this is to also just show Lincoln Riley is a boss. He knows what he's doing, and he can develop quarterbacks, or just at least he can help quarterbacks be successful in what they're good at.
Yeah.
I think just have 3 separate guys with some similar skill sets, but then also there's different strengths in the team, and that I think that dynamic has been impressive to me. It seems that if you're a quarterback, you should really consider Oklahoma if Riley's there.
That's
you know,
true.
it's
If he's
just
there.
if he's there, like you got to think about it.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's see. We can just get some thoughts on, now that we've kind of had the dust settle a little bit. Most teams have played probably 4 games or so, and we're kind of getting to the end of September, and we're starting to get more of the meat in the schedule. How do you feel about the rankings? Do you feel like teams are kind of where they're supposed to be? Do you feel like, what do you kind of feel about the landscape right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in general, the way that rankings are done for college football with the preseason rankings, probably it just puts a bias out there pretty early on that maybe is a little bit unfair. I think if the rankings hadn't been there until now and you didn't automatically give Clemson the benefit of the doubt because they were champions from last year as number one, I think if you looked at resumes and what has been done, Ohio State seems to be the most full team. I mean, their defense is great. They obviously are doing great things on offense, and I would say they're probably ranked number one in my opinion. Then outside of that, I think everything would kind of fall in place. Bama, Clemson, Georgia, and Clemson just because, I mean, they struggled against North Carolina. Bama hasn't necessarily had that struggle win yet. Not to say that it won't happen this year, but I mean, we've got hard games ahead. I mean, the meat of the schedule is going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, no, it's coming, and the thing too is that these rankings will kind of, they obviously will figure each other out because like you've got Bama and LSU who are going to play, you've got Florida and Auburn who are going to play, you've got Auburn,
Bama and Auburn,
Bama,
LSU
Auburn, Georgia, Florida are going to play. Like all these teams are going to play, and it's going to kind of naturally figure itself out.
Oh yeah, it's going to be like a bomb hit, and everything's going to be way different in 4 weeks. You know,
right? We're going to look at this and be like, how could we have thought that this team was this?
Well, let's not say 4 weeks. We won't quite be there yet, but 8 weeks.
I think what's also showing is that one, maybe the gap is not as far as we thought between Bama and Clemson and the rest of the pack.
Totally agree this year.
However, it's still, that's what's hard. It's very early, and there's a difference between like teams like in Oklahoma. I wouldn't say hasn't really been tested yet.
No.
So you're like, what do you do with that? And so it'll be really interesting to see in a few weeks, and especially when we start getting to the actual. I feel like once we get to that, start getting to the actual playoff, like when they start doing those rankings, obviously, that will be really, it'll be more telling of like what the committee is seeing.
Yeah.
And all these teams as well.
Yeah, I think one thing that we'll start to see even this week as we talk about what games are out there on the docket. You got Auburn at Florida, and Auburn's a 3-point favorite in the swamp. To be honest, I expect Auburn to make this game look pretty simple. I don't think Florida with freshman quarterbacks or underclassmen quarterbacks is going to be ready to go against Auburn's defense. And I think that they're going to be exposed a little bit. That's my opinion. Florida will be exposed as not a true top 10 team. I could be totally wrong. We may be talking about next Monday, like, wow, we were way off. And it'll be a big surprise for us. But I would expect Auburn to do way more damage than just 3 points against Florida.
Yeah, I think Auburn takes 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Just the offense just pulls away from Florida, especially with Florida not having Felipe Franks up there. And then just looking at your little notes, we've got Ohio State, Michigan State. That won't be close.
No, it won't be close. It's one of those Big Ten games that you look forward to seeing every year, but I don't expect it to be close. Even though Michigan State is ranked 25.
Yeah, they're still ranked. And then Iowa, Michigan is the other one.
Yeah.
I feel like Michigan will end up winning, but it's gonna be one of those like low scoring, kind of an ugly game. We'll still question Michigan's offense, but they'll come out with the win. That's kind of how I'm feeling.
For sure.
So. Well, there you go, guys. Look at that. Just like that, September is done.
Man,
and now we're getting into
by.
fall.
Get into
fall
fun
football.
stuff.
Yeah. So
hopefully the weather will change and we'll actually feel like fall outside instead of the mid of summer.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and just remember, happy fall, y'all.
Yep. If you can read that
if you
backwards.
Have a good night.